Recording in progress.
All right, with that being said, I'd like to call to order on June 26, 2023, the City of Palm Springs Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Can we get a roll call, please?
Okay, when I call your name, please indicate if you are present. Chair Alcorn
Present.
and Vice Chair Coladonato is excused. Commissioner Crawford,
Present.
Commissioner Diaz,
Present.
Commissioner Finland,
Present.
Commissioner Meyer,
Present.
Commissioner Moralia,
Present.
and Commissioner Spellman is excused. So we have all members present with Commissioners Coladonato and Spellman excused.
Can we get a report of the posting of the agenda, please?
The agenda for this meeting was posted on Wednesday, June 21st, in accordance with our public meeting posting requirements.
Thank you very much. Has everybody had a chance to look over last month's meeting minutes? Can I get an approval of the minutes, please?
Motion. Second.
All right, with that being said, can I get a roll call vote?
Alcorn,
I have to abstain.
Crawford,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Finland,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
and Moralia.
Approved.
Carries.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, with that being said, this section of the meeting is set aside for public comment. This time is for public to address the Park and Recreation Commission on agenda items and items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Although the commission values your comments pursuant to Brown's Act in general, cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. 3 minutes are assigned to each speaker. Do we have any public comments?
Okay, we have no, it's like we have no public comments in the room, and let us just check our virtual waiting room. And then members who are joining us via Zoom, if you can just use the raise hand feature. And no one.
None? All right, no public comments. At this time, we're going to move forward to the next section, and that's the director's report.
At each meeting, we always like to look at some of the recent council items that have been related to Parks and Recreation. So on May 25th, council approved the FY24 comprehensive fee schedule for the city. The Parks and Recreation fees were left flat, so our FY24 fees will be the same as our FY23 fees. And appointments to commissions were also done at that meeting. On June 5th, the council also met to review the draft annual budget. And then later this week, on June 29th, council will be voting on the FY24, FY25 budget. And that is a 2-year budget for the city for the first time. Some highlights of events that took place since our last Parks and Rec Commission meeting on May 22nd. So on May 29th, we had our Memorial Day event at the Palm Springs Swim Center, our Dip into Summer event. We had a lot of kids and families out there with a lot of floaties having a really good time on Memorial Day, as you can see.
That's awesome.
On June 3rd, in recognition of National Trail Day, we did a hike with a park ranger day. So participants who came to this event were able to hike with one of our new park rangers, Ranger George. And here's one of the photos from that fun event as well. On June 13th, the Parks and Recreation Department was asked or invited to present at the 1 PS meeting to give them an overview of who we are, what we do, and what types of programs and activities and facilities we offer to our community. So we gave them a presentation. We had multiple staff members presenting. We talked about, let me get that off of Jarvis's Okay, there we go. We talked about our facilities, our special events. We talked about events that were coming up. There we go. We talked about our youth programs, including summer camps. And as you can see on the right is our flyer for our upcoming 4th of July festivities. At the end of the meeting, the 1PS group gave us a check for $1,000 for our summer camp programs to make sure that all kids have access to really great summer camp programs. Shortly after that meeting, at our kickoff to summer camp, our Sunrise neighborhood also provided us with a $2,000 check for summer camp as well. And to keep all of that momentum rolling, we also received a private donation today for another $6,000 for summer camp to make sure that we can get many kids through summer camp this summer. So we're really excited about that. And a huge thank you to everyone who made that possible. Hello campers. Okay, so we are on our 2nd and 3rd week of summer camp. So just some fun pictures of the kids really having an amazing time in our facilities. Some upcoming save the dates for some Parks and Recreation events. We are doing our series called Flick and Float. So there's 3 more movies that we are inviting the public to come out to see at the Palm Springs Swim Center. On the next slide, I have the highlights of those. So July 15th, Finding Nemo. August 19th, we've got Super Mario Brothers. And then on September 16th, we've got Luca. And this event is free for everyone. So big things coming up this weekend. We are doing 4 full days again of 4th of July festivities and activities. So starting this Saturday, July 1st, we also have flyers at the front, and I think we've left flyers at your seats as well. And I'll just quickly walk through those 4 days of events. So on Saturday, July 1st, starting at 7 o'clock, we have a concert in the downtown park. On Sunday, July 2nd, we are doing a movie at the pool. And that one's In the Heights is the movie. And that will start at dusk. The following day on Monday, July 3rd, we're doing another movie at Ruth Hardy Park. And that one's A League of Their Own. And then on Tuesday, July 4th, from 3 p.m. until the fireworks go off, we are doing a number of activities. At 3 o'clock, the pool party will kick off. At 5:30, there will be a concert in the park, and that's in Sunrise Park. At 6 o'clock, there'll be our All-Stars game, and then at 9:30, the fireworks will kick off. Shifting gears, on Tuesday, July 18th, in honor of or in recognition of National Parks Month, we are doing our Parks and Recreation Department open house. So it will be from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. We're doing this one at the Demuth Community Center, and this is an opportunity for the public to join us to learn about the projects we're doing, the programs that we offer, to meet staff, as well as to meet commissioners that the public have not met yet. We encourage everyone to come out for that event. We are kind of looking at it as it can be sort of like a one resource. You might be only interested in one project, but you can come out and learn about everything that we do. Some things that are in progress. We're working on our signage, our Prop 68 signage for 2 of our projects, the Desert Highland Ballpark renovation, as well as the signage for the swim shade sun structures that went up. So those will be installed shortly. We have, hopefully this picture is making sense. These are the bleachers that are at Demuth Park by the pickleball court. So we just replaced the end caps on those. Little thing, but made a big difference. On June 14th, the City Hall Dog Park reopened after being closed for several weeks for a fresh facade. So the park looks great right now for the community. Shifting gears on dog parks, over at Demuth, we have our small dog area that now has a new fencing enclosure. I have one more photo of that to show you it from a different angle. There we go. That is our small dog area at Demuth. And then additional enhancements will keep rolling out on that project as well. At each meeting, I always like to talk about new staff that have joined the team because recruitments have been a big part of our past year. So since our last meeting, we had 2 new staff members join. We have a new lifeguard, Terry, and we have a new ranger, Joe. And Joe actually just started today.
Welcome to the team.
In terms of hiring, we have 3 hirings that are in process right now. We are hiring for an aquatics manager. We are also hiring for the assistant director, and we are hiring additional lifeguards. Right now on the website, we are still receiving applications for lifeguards. So if you know of anyone who wants to be a lifeguard, please send them over to our website to apply. This is just a photo from our recent lifeguard hiring process. And then I mentioned at a previous meeting that we were having some Parks and Recreation staff members also get lifeguard certifications. So I just wanted to give a shout out and congratulations to Rosa and Cruz, who both now have lifeguard certifications. So congratulations, Rosa and Cruz. And that actually completes my report.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question? Yeah. Just on with respect to the budget for this year that's coming up.
Mhm.
Is there any material change in what we were allotted last year versus what we're gonna be allotted for the future?
So we are looking at an increase in budget from last year to the next year and into the following year.
Thank you very much. With that being said, we're going to move on to the presentation action items. So our first presentation, we got Parks and Recreation Engineering Project Report. You do not mind, sir?
Good evening, thank you for having me, Joel Montalvo, the city engineer. I'm gonna introduce my team. I have 2 relatively new team members. Before in the past, I used to work with Don Bueno has moved on. So we brought on some new team members. So Alberto Gradia is very familiar with the city. He's my new project manager. He has a lot of experience in construction and building. So he is going to be building a lot of your projects here in the near future, not only in Parks and Rec, but other projects. Andrew Kreider is a senior engineer. He's helping me tremendously. He's working on parks projects, he's working on airport projects, he's working on a variety of wastewater treatment projects. So we we handle a different load, every different type of project. We all just jump right in and it works. I'm really appreciative of having new team members, and I'm still building my staff up. I have 2 more project managers. So we're gearing up to be able to provide projects for you. So my team today is going to be talking about the recreational ball field lighting, the swim center improvements, the new park, the new dog park enhancements, the new pickleball courts, and the new soccer fields. And they're all in different stages. One's in construction, the other one is in design. Some of them are in the request for proposal, the other ones we're reviewing proposals. So a lot of times we get criticism or comments from the public that think we're not moving fast enough, we're not doing anything, but in reality, we're really working hard. In fact, we're working and doing things for every single project. In one way or another, my team is working on your project. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Berto. He's going to bring you up to speed on the ball field lighting project. Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, once we go through one slide or one project, we'll pause and take questions so that everybody that has questions, we'll be able to answer for you. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Joel. How you guys doing, commissioner, staff? My name is Alberto Gradia, as Joel had mentioned. Glad to be on board with the engineering division. I'm actually going to start from the bottom, work my way up. Andrew is the lead on the ball field lighting project, so we'll kind of have him take the lead on that one, and I have some information on that as well. Demuth Demuth soccer fields are currently in the planning.
Give me 1 second.
She needs to go to the slideshow.
Oh, okay. Unless you
I
want to start.
can.
No, I'm fine. I'll start.
That's okay.
No, I think I can do it.
We went backwards.
Do you soccer field?
Yeah. Perfect. So currently this project just came up, and is currently in the planning stages. I think the scope of work, will best fit these fields by, it's really little background behind these fields, they really haven't been improved or leveled in many years. Spent a lot of weekends, on these fields, and the majority of the complaints are that we have irrigation boxes in the fields and they really just need to be leveled. So you have, between all the gopher holes and such, that's really the majority of the complaints when it comes to soccer. So with this project, we are still in the planning stages. We're gonna utilize the same soccer fields as there are now. Next steps are to reach out to Palm Springs Soccer League and AYSO to get some feedback from them. This park gets used more than any other park, or probably, park in the city. You guys pass by there Tuesdays, Fridays, weekdays. You can see by the photo, it gets used a lot. And so the scope of work will be to really level these fields and relocate irrigation boxes. And I think for the most part, that's really gonna bring this park back to life when it comes to the playing fields. So reaching out to the leagues, and then from there, moving forward with a plan design to put out to bid. But that's really the scope of work for the soccer field themselves. It doesn't include the playing fields within the Little League baseball field. So just want to be clear on that. This is really just the scope is for the soccer field. So historically, the Little League fields are for Little League. So we do see soccer games being played there every now and then, but for the most part, those are Little League baseball fields. So it will not include that portion. We will be looking at adding in between, if you guys are familiar with Demuth, the set of Little League fields in the middle of the photo there, that's fields 1 through 4. We have 5 and 6 on the right. Those are softball fields. And so if you see that area of play in between the fields, yep, right there, we're looking into possibly really making that more of a playing field that's where the majority of your U4s, U5s play. So when they start off, you have a smaller, tighter little fields where you can squeeze through fields within that area for the small kids. And then you also see a really big field within that area that they utilize for Sunday League. They do utilize that area because they do need the field, the playing field. So that's where we're at on the soccer fields.
We can pause and take any questions that you'd like, and I hope it comes across that Alberto is not only has worked with the city for a long time, but also has used these facilities and is very familiar. So when he's bringing what he brings to the table is something that not somebody that doesn't live here, work here, or that just works here can actually bring to the table. So you're going to get a lot of insight, and we really appreciate that of Alberto. And just the side note, my kids played here, and even I played here growing up. So.
I'm just wondering that, that space at the bottom of the photo, which, up along, up by the golf course there, up in the corner. Are we doing anything with that as well? Okay, because I know that we would be on those fields too sometimes, so.
Yeah, that's considered the East Field, or in many cases, Field 4. And right now, just a little background on the lighting within that field. Our lighting plan does not include those 4 poles. So right now you have 4 poles on that East Field, or maybe even 6 poles on that East Field that are just completely abandoned. Windstorm took one of those poles out, it was replaced, but as mentioned in previous staff reports, that was all direct burial cable. And it just takes too much to try to, theft. People have, stolen the wiring, so you won't see those lights turned on right now. That's because they're just completely out of commission. So the ultimate plan for that field is to widen it, kind of get the field away from the bike path on the south side of that, so giving that bike path a little more space. And so widening it to the north. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is we can really flatten that area out and really make go north of that field to pop it out.
And then my second question was, we had so many bad windstorms that uprooted all those big trees. Are we at anywhere in that plan looking to put more trees even up along, whatever I'm looking at, the left side for me? Putting any more trees for shade in there for,
So
Uh,
I guess I can
spectators.
try to jump in. That would probably be outside of the scope of what we're trying to do. That would probably shift into a different project that Yvonne could work with our facilities and maintenance to look at. But as we're looking at it, we're trying to improve the facilities, not necessarily the tree. So I would kind of want to separate.
So that's not a facility having in the park.
So, no, not saying we're not gonna do it, I'm saying it would be a different scope than what's we're trying to do for the soccer fields.
And I think for us, we just need to know if it's a priority of the commission, then we'll put it on our list to look into
It was
that.
a priority as a parent that spent how many years out there cooking.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so many of them got lifted up and all that stuff and tipped over and removed, so it just looks so horrible in that picture. All of that. You got your work cut out for you. Thank you.
Jerry Alcorn, quick question, how many fields are we planning on having there? Is it 3, 4? And maybe, and another question, which might be for Yvonne to piggyback off that, is maybe in next Arbor Day, we can reach out to the Arbor Day Foundation, because we planted 88 trees. I know I planted a good 20 of them myself, so there's a good issue, we can put some in there, I'd love to.
Mhm.
Great question. So no, ultimately, again, reaching out to between the youth fields and the soccer league, who actually really they require the larger fields. We're trying to maximize the space. So, talking about trees, that field 4, we would be possibly relocating some of those north palm trees by that new smaller dog park. So relocating some of those palm trees along that field line, pushing them north a little bit to really get a good sized field on that side. But ultimately, I think with the space that we have here, it would be 5, reasonably good playing fields. And then, of course, the youth leagues can situate their smaller fields within the same playing fields. So ultimately, our goal is to have 5 full playing fields. I mean, that's not including the center field that they use inside the Little League field. So
Thank you, Alberto, thanks for being a part of the city, thanks for living here, and we desperately need it there. That's an underrepresented community that doesn't speak up, doesn't have any representation, so I want to make sure exactly they're out there 5, 6, 7 days a week, so I want to get them fields. Thank you.
Commissioner Crawford, definitely glad to have Alberto on board. I know he's very or some type of utility infrastructure there.
Okay, I think we're back.
Great.
Are we back?
All right, so going back to Commissioner Crawford's question about relocating the service equipment in between field 1 and field 2. And we do have our parks team, our maintenance team cleaning up that area. We've reached out to Youth League to clean up that area as far as the
There's a go there, all right there from the side.
Yeah.
When you go around the field 3.
Mhm. Okay, we're just checking the sounds, make sure the sound is working. Okay, and looks like we are back on.
We are good.
Yeah.
All right. Did you,
yeah, that's all I had on.
Just one more question. This may be for Director Wise. Is there any plan for a standalone soccer park? I know a lot of other municipalities have standalone soccer parks.
Mhm.
Just
Community, how many fields we may or may not need, and perhaps where they would go as well. So I would say, yes, we can look into that as part of comprehensive master planning.
thank you. All right, next section for that report. You gentlemen.
And which project would we like to talk about?
We can talk about the pickleball courts if we may. We can talk about pickleball courts. So currently, we did put this RFP out last month. And that opened up with about 4 responsive firms that responded to this RFP. So we have 4 firms to select from. That is something we will be working on this week. With the anticipation of having this staff report prepared to go before council July 24th. So with that approval of the agreement right after that, we anticipate we would have a firm working on this project in August. So right now, the 4 firms, the schedule and the timeline that the 4 firms have that we've seen, it's widespread. Right now, they're going on through the end of the year into next February, March. So that's before putting a project out to bid. So that's just to design the project. So that can give you an understanding of what it takes to build out a project, even this size, for an existing area. So currently we have proposals that show pickleballs into the north side where the green area is located, relocating that single tennis court to where that red area is located. So we have different proposals right now. We'll be working with staff, or our team is going to be looking at the proposals and hopefully selecting the firm that we all agree is able to work on this project. Any question?
Commissioner Meyer, so I know in the past, there's been some dialogue about striping on the courts. Is that an issue where there would be different types of striping, but or whether it would just be pickleball striping? Is that something that's being considered with these design firms, or is that something that's off the table, or ultimately in the engineering department's purvey? Or is that something that's even on your radar at all?
So, you mind if I jump in? So I don't exactly maybe know the answer to your question, but I think what you're asking is, so obviously we are approaching the project to build 12 new pickleball courts. There is an existing tennis court that's there right now. In terms of, what happens with the tennis court, we're not sure. Perhaps it stays in that location, or perhaps it gets moved to a different location. If the question is more about, are we looking at courts that could be used for both types of play?
Right, multifaceted.
Yeah, we'd have to have the design consultant, incorporate that into part of the project. But when we went out with the scope, we requested that we end up with 24 pickleball courts.
I just brought it up because it's come up at several meetings, and it just, in anticipation of public reaction to that, might want to be on everyone's radar. Great,
That's good.
I know we've got a lot of pushback about this before, but I have to say it. I would like to see us look at using Ruth Hardy for pickleball courts. I was up at Desert Highland the other day. They're playing pickleball on the basketball courts. There's basketball and volleyball lines, and no one's getting confused. They actually use the badminton markers for the pickleball courts. I'm guessing they're the same size, and our youth are being displaced, and they have to get out of the gym while they're playing pickleball. I don't see how our youth can be impacted, but our tennis community can't be impacted. So I'm just gonna have to bring that up. I know we've discussed it before and people weren't happy, but I'm not here to make people happy. I'd like to see us look at restriping all the courts and making them multi-purpose.
Mr. Goodman.
Commissioner Hinton, I'm just very excited to see us moving forward. It's been a long-term work in progress, and there is certainly a huge fan base with regard to pickleball and expansion. So I'm very pleased, very excited about this. I can't put the question going forward, and this is not really something that can have resolution at this point in time. But to the idea of shading issues, we'll have to be considering that with the project. And also, as you gentlemen have said at the beginning of the presentation, it's very heavily trafficked over there with a multitude of different activities. A lot of people are coming to this park. So that's certainly a worrying concern with regard to parking. So we're really gonna have to take a good look at that. But please, we're moving forward. I certainly think that July will be a wonderful moment for tremendous advancement for this, and I'm just happy to see that it's onboard, on schedule, things moving forward, and we're in essence staying on schedule as we had projected when we kind of this project. So it'll be a good, great thing to see Armstrong that finally comes to pass.
Thank you. From here, I'll. Just to keep it interesting. We weren't gonna start.
For review, the majority of the submittals have been approved. The contractor is ordering materials. The latest update is they do owe us a construction schedule, which is due to us any day now. So primarily from there, for the bond, we really don't have any other updates right now, besides We've been answering any RFIs and basically just doing some little reviews at this point, so. And then waiting for basically any long lead items to come in, so.
So essentially, the project is under construction or at the very beginnings of construction. So with that, we can open it to questions. Alberto, do you have anything else to add to that update?
Yeah, we've had some concerns from the community in regards to light pollution and what's called they're calling it property spill. So Musco is the company that's providing our lights, and with the new technologies and shielding of these light fixtures, it's not what you typically see before, which, you know, if you drive by there now, you're gonna see the halide lighting that really just, you know, illuminate out. So this is where you can see Demuth Park from the freeway, or so with this new technology, these LED lights are typically initially they're shielded from the top, so everything's pretty much flooding down. And so the technology is amazing. We did do a photo study on it, and so just to give you an idea of what the averages are for Demuth Park once the lights are in place. The standards, there's illumination standards for ball fields. The numbers for that, I mean, these are amazing. So there's maximum foot candles when you talk about lighting within the playing field, within the infield, outfield, depending on the actual, you know, sport you're playing, lighting standards come with minimum, maximum numbers. So the maximum numbers for the entire property of Demuth Park are at 0.15 foot candles.
What does
And
that mean?
foot candles, so you have, I'm not too sure when it comes to foot candle. I just know that when you're illuminating an area, you require a minimum, maximum foot candles to be able to light a space. So for the playing fields, our Demuth Park will have 0.012 foot candles illuminating the outer areas. So when you have everything's focused on the playing fields, right? That spill into the outer areas are very limited. So you're gonna have you're really not gonna have that much spill into even the street or the parking lots. So these lights are really focusing on the field of play.
Right, if you imagine a sun or a shade, right, it's literally walking from the sun to the shade, and that's exactly what you're doing, but you're doing it with technology and with focusing your lights. So foot candle, really, the origins are literally, you know, how far you can see a candle lit a foot away, right? And as you go further and further away, you're seeing less of that candle, right? So that sort of translates into how they measure light and how it gets focused and what you see. So what Alberto's saying really is if you're playing in the fields, it's gonna be really bright. You step just a little bit off the fields, it goes to, you know, point something foot candle. So essentially there is very little spillover. So we're focusing it. We just want the folks to know that we are, the technology is great, and what we're doing is changing how the light is focused on the players and the residents. One of the things that is to keep note is when you're looking at a halogen light versus an LED light, the difference is startling, right? LEDs are really bright, but because you can focus them, turn them and block them, you're actually concentrating into the field, so the spillage is less. So that's what we want to kind of try to convey here.
Yeah, cool. I'm just looking at it because I see this, the Demuth Fields, I know the houses were on the southeast corner there, so it doesn't look like it's gonna be bad. The worst one would be the stadium, but even that's You guys are at least 100 feet away from the closest house. I mean, there should be no spillage at all.
Right, right.
I come from a commercial contracting background, so I didn't know we were doing the stadium. I thought we were just doing Demuth. So this is new to me, just this meeting. So this is, and I've been working on this for how many years? So I'm glad I got to know we're doing the stadium too. I'm glad we're doing it. So this is great. Thank you, guys. I didn't know we were doing the stadium.
All right, well, with that, we can move on to the swim center.
Right now, the swim center is in the design phase. We did an RFP and interactive design group, interactive design preparation was selected. Right now, like I said, they are working on the design. They have come up with a concept plan. What they did was they took the original layout of the swim center, took the existing conditions and the compliance issues, residents, issues, and really took into consideration how can they really improve this swim center, but still keep the same feel and not lose the original architect. So let's go ahead and show the next slide. And so what Interactive Design Group, as you can see here, they're primarily utilizing 95% of the existing space and basically reconfiguring what's there. The only removal we're doing is we're removing part of where the entrance is at, where residents come in to check in. We're planning to upgrade that to have an arrival port with a canopy structure on top to where it's a nice flow when they come in. As you can see, we're planning to build an upper deck, which now will provide ADA compliance now when you come in. And the way it's laid out now, or what the concept is, residents would have an option either to go straight into the deck, straight into the pool, or either go into the locker rooms. And when they go into the locker rooms, they actually have a choice of either going into primarily a wet side or a semi-dry side. So where we have restroom facilities on one side and also have the changing rooms on the other side. One of the nice new improvements with this is we're adding a non-gender restroom now with family facilities, which the facility didn't have one before. And I know the desperately has been requested from for years, so we are now providing that in. We are now going to bring up to code on the number of restrooms and fixtures also too. So it's quite a bit going on there, but you can see with the concept plan, the intent is to address the majority of all the issues and surrounding the same stuff. So.
Honestly.
And then, so for this project, our architect design consultant will be joining us at our open house on July 18th to talk to the public about this preliminary concept and to get some feedback as well.
So one of the things driving to what Maria was doing was the ADA access to the pool, right? Because there's one that was not, and one went through the women's bathroom, the other one came through, had to go through the inside. So she really started focusing on the ramp. How do you get there? What do you do on the top? How do you get down? How do you get easy access to the restrooms? So she started building the design from there, and then moved back and started opening up the buildings. Renovation to this particular facility. We're happy to take any questions.
Question, Commissioner. Thank you so much for doing this. I know it's been a huge concern in the community at this time, especially since we only have one swim center. I don't know if you would know the on the community being able to access the actual swim center. If you know. Or if we should reserve that question for the design team. I don't want to put you on.
Yeah, the design team has been thinking about that and they purposely laid it out in a certain way where like, they can actually keep facilities open during design, during reconstruction. They are thinking about that, but there is gonna be an is very good at doing that, so she can answer the questions for herself. It's still in the development phases, so we won't be able to speak to it. Even the timeline is gonna vary, right? If things change, we'll have to go through the process where the commission finally approves the design or the concept, and we move into full design development, and then for things, the scope generally tends to grow when we're dealing with older facilities. So once she really gets into it, we'll get a better understanding of the timeline. But for now,
With Duluth Park, as you can see, we have several improvements that we're planning to do at the park. Item number one is the parking lot at the Duluth Community Center. What we're planning to do is convert that 2.2 dirt parking lot into a paved parking lot, but what we're also planning to do is combine the existing parking lot with the dirt parking lot and make that into one parking lot project. And we're already taking into consideration adding another egress on the south side. Because we know once we pave and get this fully going, once they have the community going, it's gonna be difficult getting in and out. So we already planning, like I said, adding enough egress, we already talked to planning, so that should be, that's coming for us.
so it's good to mention that if you see there's 7 different things that Andrew's gonna talk about, and those requests or improvements were all coming in at different times and different, they had their different trajectories. So when we started seeing these projects all come forward, we all decided to sort of put a pause and say, hey, I think all these projects are really one project. We could all combine them into one infrastructure project. Because we started, the ADA project has been around for a long time. The dog parks are new, the restrooms are brand new. So these different facilities all started, coming in as requests. So that we as an engineering team said, hey, why don't we just stop and I know we were getting pressure to get one thing done, get the other thing done, but it really didn't make sense until we get, as I saw it, things were building, and now we have a really nice project that we're putting out, together with the pickleball courts, the lighting. So we're almost doing a whole master plan just for this part. We're all, being strategic about it, right? We get a lot of pressure to build, deliver now, build it, but when we're strategic, we can actually accomplish a lot more for a lot less. So that's sort of what we bring to the table as we're moving forward, even though we're getting outside pressure to get one thing done. Doing one thing isn't always the right thing to do. So that's sort of where we're at and how we got here. So with that, I'll turn it back to Andrew.
Thank you, John. Oh, yeah, and part of this project, as you can see, we've incorporated the large dog park. The RP included that. We were planning to take the concept plan that was done some time ago and, taking that to fruition. So we'll hopefully with the consultant on board, they will prepare plans and specs so we can get that out to bid. Included in also with the project, as you can see, we have basically 8 components to it. Number 3 is a new restroom. As you know, that the city built a new 5 non-gender unistall bathroom near Miserable. And so. Requests come in for another additional restroom, so it made sense to add another restroom right there, especially near the soccer field and close to the large dog park. So that project, we're putting, like I said, a 5-stall unisex restroom there. Included in also too, with the Little League field. As everybody knows, when it rains, that parking lot floods. We are going to fix the drainage net issue and probably repave the parking lot too,
Just sell my kayak.
so.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Jerry, but yeah, planning to fix that. So now, and then with number 5, we're also going to finish off the small dog park. The small dog park will include a shade structure, benches, drinking fountain, and other amenities. Also included in, we're planning to demo that existing stage, which unfortunately hasn't been used for some time, which may leave room for either additional pickleball or relocate the tennis court, so. And then, number 7 was, there was compliance issues with the park. As you can see, all those areas, we're gonna basically demo those sidewalks, put in new sidewalk and make sure they're ADA compliant. And also included in, is we're finally gonna replace all the drinking fountains in the park and they're all gonna be ADA compliant. And I think a few of them, they're actually gonna be, well, they're all gonna be ADA compliant, that's all. And that's what we're going on at.
You can probably jump in and talk about the small dog, right, or the interim measures,
Could
or
we pause just 1 second again? I just want to do another technology check because I see that I don't see the video of us talking. Just hold on 1 second, I'll check something.
Have to redo it. Your engineering department's crushing it, man. Good job. Seriously, I know you. Good job. I know you're taking it from the right
Okay.
way.
Andrew uses a lot, his aerial pictures are a lot better than mine, so I'd like to commend the Parks Department for the maintenance of the park as well. It's excellent. I've taken a lot of steps out there and it's really been looking pretty good.
Crosshatch, dang.
And the only update I have for the park is, we are planning to have this completed within the next 2 years. Per the agreement that we have for the grant, so.
That's huge.
yeah, so, yeah, we're gonna start the design phase, it takes you design it, you go through public input, you get it completely designed. You then bid it, and then once you bid it, then you start construction. So if we're doing things right, we're working together with, our team is working together. Path forward, design's gonna continue, and we're gonna deliver these projects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a question about the water fountains, yeah, adding one to the large dog park. Especially with the use, frequent use of the dog park, maybe one of the ones where the dogs can drink out of the bottom also.
No, correct, yeah. Yes. Yeah. There will be, I believe, 2 new drinking fountains in the lunch hall.
So I think that's the only, I think the other update is interim enhancements, and that's a shade structure that's going in.
That with me too. Just to let you know, we have a contract with USA Shade. Right now, we have submitted the drawings. I have submitted the drawings to building and safety. Right now, they're under review for permitting. Once the building safety has reviewed and approved the plans, I will let the contractor know, USA Shade, and from that point, then they will then start fabricating the shade structures, which they will ship it, then they will ship the materials out to us. And then they have a local local representative, they have a multi-state company, but they have local representatives for contractors. So once the materials are here, we will schedule with them and have it installed. Typically,
Can I ask a quick question on the shade, just so I can get clarification, so I don't get asked this? What color shade are we gonna have? We're gonna have the tan and gold, or are we gonna have blue?
It's that picture that you see in the upper left. So the top layer is the yellow and then I think it was called desert tan,
Desert
something underneath.
Wonderful, two desert colors. Thank you. We just want to clarify that. Thank you.
And then the other thing I just want to mention on this one, it's not part of this Measure J funded project, but we are also, as part of the dog park enhancements, we're looking at the netting between the ball fields as well as the dog park. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
All these projects for the most part are being funded by Measure J, so. But Measure J is critical and vital for all these projects to move forward. So if you can get the word out, we really want the folks, the residents to know that Measure J is really providing all this support, all the money for the infrastructure upgrade. So it's important to mention. And with that, I think our engineering team is done with their presentation. Thank you for having us. Good night.
Thank you, engineering department. That was awesome. Very good presentation. Thank you, gentlemen. With that, moving on, we're gonna move on to presentation. Our next one, which is the fiscal year 23 year in review.
Okay, so we are back to me. So June is upon us and we are at the end of our fiscal year. So I wanted to take a moment, we'll probably do this every June and kind of look back at everything that we accomplished over the past year. And it'll also just help us get focused then for the next fiscal year as well. So first I thought I'd go through some of the projects that we worked on as well as completed during the last fiscal year. So we built and installed the new restrooms for Demuth Park. Those opened in September of 2022. So there's 5 new restrooms there with those outside hand wash stations and a drinking fountain that you see in the first photo there, that blue fountain. Up at James O. Jesse as well, we also built and installed new restrooms as well in the same configuration. And those opened in the fall. I think many of you were at our ribbon cutting for this event as well, which took place, I think, in December or so. Inside JOJ, the Palm Springs Fire Foundation helped us out with doing a sort of refresh with bright new paint inside that facility, so it looks better for our community. And that was completed in September. Over at Sunrise Park in our pavilion, the new acoustic system was installed. As part of our Prop 68 grant, this is the project that I talked about, the signage that we were working on. So the shade structure was installed at the Desert Highland Ball Fields. And this project is still in motion, so we're still working on the other elements. But the shade structure was installed in October. In the fall, we did our annual grass overseeding, as well as identified those dormant grass areas. So that's late September through December. We got that project done and we'll be doing it again this fall. And as you remember, this past fall, we did not overseed the City Hall Dog Park, which is why we ended up resodding the dog park. So this fall, we will be closing the City Hall Dog Park as well as the other parks for that grass overseeding process. Over at the Swim Center, our 3 new shade structures were installed. Funded through that Prop 68 grant. In December at the Swim Center, we did a new overlays on the scoreboard. So as you see on that scoreboard on the left, You can see how it's kind of faded and all crackled at the bottom, so it got an entire new sort of facelift with all new Lexan inserts and then new graphics. Also at the swim center in December, we installed a new ADA ladder and steps. As part of Anderson grant, we installed the 10 starting blocks for the swim center. So these are just some photos of those being installed. That was completed in December. Moving over to Demuth, the HVAC system was completed in February for the Demuth Community Center. And these are just some in progress shots. And I know it's working really well so far because every time I chat with someone there, they say it's nice and chilly in there. We spent several months working on our landscape conversions for the 5 parks. So from September through February, we did many meetings to talk about what those renderings and plans would be. And as you remember, we also incorporated walkways into the plans that could be used to just sort of help the community stay fit by creating walking paths. We also selected or awarded the contract for the new playground equipment at Demuth. And we're using Miracle Playground, and that contract went to council in February. And these are just those preliminary concepts from Miracle. This is not the color palette. And the both areas will have shade structures. Same thing for Victoria Park. So that contract was awarded by council in February. And these were the concepts for Victoria Park. And then in terms of replacing the playground equipment, we will be replacing Victoria first and then Demuth second. And I know our park enhancement ad hoc is going to be meeting to talk about some of those specific elements and colors for the equipment. In February, we partnered with Desert X to bring the Gerald Clark's artwork to the James O. Jesse Center. We also partnered with the Art Commission to bring the John Clement Squiggles. There's 3 of those that were located around the city of Palm Springs to Demuth Park. And as you can see there, the Art Commission took care of making sure that they got a fresh coat of paint. And then I've got one other photo there so you can see them in place. Dog park enhancements. Throughout the year, we did several enhancements to our dog parks. We installed or we replaced the ground cover at the Demuth Dog Park with additional decomposed granite. We also installed a windscreen on that back fence there. You see that in blue to just sort of help with some of the just sort of landscaping material that was blowing through the fence to make sure that our dogs' feet stay nice and clean. And then we installed a new waste station. And as you can see on that rendering on the photo on the right, we just recently installed some agility equipment. So that's what you're seeing there. That looks kind of like those little stools and kind of a slide. So those are for the dogs. And then we have some fun new dog park swag that you're actually getting a sneak peek at in these photos as well, with some Frisbees as well as some tennis balls. Pickleball as well. Throughout the year, we did several improvements to the Demuth pickleball courts. We installed the netting between the courts for the dividers. All of the courts got new numbers that you see there on that court number 2. A new drinking fountain outside of the pickleball courts, those end caps that you see in the upper right there. We also installed the courts 1 through 12 signage to facilitate play during the busy pickleball season. And then on the left, we also, or the top left, we created a pickleball ambassador program to help ensure that those individuals who may not know how to play pickleball yet can hopefully show up at the courts and see one of our ambassadors wearing a t-shirt and get some information on how to either use the whiteboard or how to actually play the game. We did facility painting, so the swim center and the leisure center and pavilion have gotten fresh coats of paint. We brought in new site furnishings for the swim center, so 12 Adirondack chairs with 4 of those coffee tables, and we do have more lounge chairs on the way, and those were installed in, or those were received in May. We did a whole bunch of events. So I didn't want to, or we don't have time actually to go into every event that we did over a year because there are so many events. So I just sort of put this slide there to remind you guys that this is just sort of highlights of what we did. This is of course not everything that we did. Obviously our department is involved in all of the major parades and festivals, as well as developing youth programs and adult programs year round. So I'm not going to go into those in tonight's presentation. For some administration updates on what we accomplished over FY23, we held 10 Parks and Recreation Commission meetings. We went dark in August as we normally do, and we actually did not have our November meeting. So that's how we ended up with 10 meetings as opposed to our probably traditional 11. We set up 6 ad hocs for FY23 to focus our efforts in those key areas. And this is something that you will be asked to do at our July meeting, to look at our existing ad hocs and to determine which ad hocs we need for FY24. And these ad hocs obviously are incredibly beneficial to us because it helps us sort of prioritize our workload into those areas, as well as it helps our commissioners focus on those projects that need the most care to be advanced. So at the next meeting, we'll look at those and you'll vote on those as well. We hosted 2 special working group sessions on the swim center, April 11th and May 16th, to get feedback from our community about what they would like to see at the swim center. We released 2 surveys in the past fiscal year. Both of them happen to be on the swim center as well. The first survey was about the lane reservation system. And then that second survey that we released just recently was to prioritize the projects that our swim patrons would like us to pursue over at the swim center. We also received a lot of feedback over the past fiscal year about finding information on our website. So we tried to clean up our pages and in particular the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting section. So we now have sort of a chart format so that individuals can easily find the agenda for each meeting, the correspondence and the video. That's what you're seeing there. We did a lot of hiring over the past fiscal year as well. So I think we hired about 14 staff members. So a lot of our time was spent to try to fill those staffing gaps and needs in the department. And we are still obviously in the hiring process for vacant positions. And we hired temps as well as seasonal workers as well. And I think probably through the year, we've probably hired maybe 40 to 50 seasonal workers and temps as well. I think that is the end of the FY23 just year in review highlights, not everything that we did, but we just wanted to just share a couple of the things that came to mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Anybody have any questions for Yvonne? All right, moving on to the next section. We're gonna do ad hoc commissioner updates. We have a couple different ad hoc commissions, so. Let me see, let's start with the dog park. It's your first in line. John, do you have anything by chance?
The only thing I have is I'm wondering, do we have a timeline on the shade structure for the large dog park in Demuth?
We do. It is targeted right now for late fall, so I think it's late October right now.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy that the City Hall Dog Park is reopened. It looks great. I had somebody take pictures for me, so I'm happy it's open. I haven't heard any complaints, so hopefully it stays that way throughout the summer.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Let's move on to landscape conversion. So we have nothing with that to report. So I'm gonna move on to the master plan.
When yet?
We didn't meet, but I know the last sort of action item we had was making sure that the RFP was gonna be finalized to go out, so I'm not sure.
That's where we're still at on that one.
And just for purposes of discussion, we just wanted to make sure that the RFP included acknowledgement of the change in population size and needs of the environment shifting, especially with increasing winds and other sort of environmental factors. So we just wanted to be a little bit more narrowly tailored for the next 10 years with respect to those two issues.
Thank you, Susie. Park enhancements, we're meeting tomorrow for a meeting, so we have nothing much to report other than, like you heard, the playground equipment we're working on. Follow that with pickleball. We'll move right on with this.
We have our next pickleball ad hoc committee meeting on May 31st. And at this point in time, things are holding together while we're going through the RFP process. As was noted earlier, we have 4 responders. And I will be reaching out to that group as we head into July. For the next scheduled meeting, we had usually. So they will be meeting with more regularity, and we'll on time, on schedule, and we're just. We'll probably go pick up all court enhancement, expansion route.
Thank you much. So with that being moved on, I'm gonna move on to the swim center, which I'll take over that one. We were gonna submit to the commission tonight what our findings were, but just to let the commission know, we've been working on this for months, and we have 22 pages of documents we're going over right now for repairs, upgrades. I mean, this has taken our master list that we had and broken it down. We're going through it, and just like everything else, I want to do my due diligence before I recommend something to this commission. I want to make sure we can go through it, understand what's going on. We're all going to talk as a commission, and then bring it as an ad hoc, and then bring it to our commission. Okay. Like I said, I'm still going through it. A lot of it's to do with staffing, which as this evolves, staffing is getting better. We're getting some in, but there's still, like I said, there's 22 pages of documentation here we're going through. We do have a planned ad hoc meeting this Wednesday. We're going to meet once again, just to meet one last time, kind of really get a good grasp of everything and go from there. So I plan on next commission meeting, bringing this to our commission, telling you what our recommendations are and going from there. So with that being said, that is my current update for the swim center. And thank you. So with that being said, I'm going to move this. Any questions, comments for any ad hocs? Yes, ma'am.
Just quickly, this is Commissioner Meyer. I just want to thank the City of Palm Springs Swim Center Watchdog Group for a tremendous amount of work that they did, distilling all of the concerns from the community and basically creating an extremely comprehensive 22-page document for us to work off of. So thank you very much for your volunteerism and your work. It made our jobs substantially more approachable.
Yes. I gotta, yeah, very much so. So thank you. With that being said, we're gonna move this on to the next section of our meeting, which would be any commissioner updates. I'm gonna open it up.
There's one question. This is Commissioner Meyer. I know that you mentioned in your interview that there were some commissioner group hires or I guess additions. Were we planning to open up our group to any more people or were we gonna stay the same?
So we, in July, we will be, saying goodbye, to Commissioner Crawford and Commissioner Diaz. And we will also be getting 3 new commissioners, to the Parks and Rec Commission. So at our July meeting, we will be doing, just sort of commissioner onboarding as well.
Wow.
Thank you.
Do we know?
Yeah, I'm gonna speak up. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Dieter, for being here, putting all the time and effort in. I know you've been here for years. You were here before me. Thank you very much, and I hope you're still a part of, and if we have an issue, you guys are still here, you know, bringing it up. Just thank you, seriously. So with that being said, if anybody else doesn't have any burning desires, anything? Okay, I'm gonna move this meeting along.
That's my hand raised and maybe you guys can't see it. But I implore who's ever making the decision to replace these commissioners. Dieter and Jody have been huge advocates of the James O. Jesse Center. We've got to get a commissioner who's going to be as involved as the 2 of them were for that community. It's hugely important. It's an underserved community for us. I implore who's ever making this decision to take that into consideration because their absences will be felt by that community.
Thank you, John. So you guys want to say anything, Jody, Dieter?
Just want to say thank you to the city of Palm Springs for giving me the opportunity to be a commissioner on the Parks and Recs Commission. And had a lot of fun working with the staff and all the commissioners as well. Learned a lot, made a lot of good progress within the Parks and Recs department. COVID definitely ruined a lot of our in-person meetings. So that was one of the only hiccups. But other than that, just proud of the work that we did, especially with getting the restrooms in the new parks and in Desert Highland. Now we have an outdoor restroom. So, and this isn't the last that you guys will see of me. I'll definitely be participating, I'm sure, in public comment or by letter or something, advocating for the residents. And thank you.
Thank you, Dieter. Thank you, Jody. Seriously, both you two. So with that being said, and all the comments being done, I'm gonna motion our next commission meeting is to be determined for next month because there's a conflict on the date we're supposed to normally have it. So it will be announced. So please look at our website, our Instagram, our Facebook, all our social medias. We will be having an announcement on there. So with that being said, I'm asking for a motion to close.